So we now have most of our form elements in place, but in order for this form to actually do anything when somebody clicks on the subscribe button, we have to associate this form with a script. CGI scripts, or simply scripts, depending on how they're created, reside on your server, and they're used to process the contents of a form in any number of ways. For example, you could have a script that searches across all of the information in your website when somebody enters a keyword into a form, and when they hit submit, that script could reply with the results of that search. In this case, I'm going to use a very simple script called form mail, which will mail the contents of this form to a specified email address when somebody clicks on the subscribe button. To do that, I'm going to first associate the form itself with that script. So if I click on the form field, and you want to make sure you're actually selecting this red line around the edge, and if you have trouble doing that, you can click on the form option here in the tag selector. When the form tag is selected, you see the property inspector at the bottom of the page changes. What you enter into these fields depends on what kind of script you're using, and you'll need to check with your service provider or your system administrator to find out what scripts are available to you, or you'll need to write those scripts or hire a programmer yourself, or you'll need to find a free script, download it, and install it on your server. These are all things I can't really teach you in a lesson on Dreamweaver, but before I enter this information here so you can see it, I want you to know that what you type here depends on how your server is set up and what script you're using. In this case, I'm using a script called formmail.pl. It's a Perl script, and it's a very common free script you can use to email form contents. If you want to learn more about form mail or other scripts you can use with forms, you might want to visit scriptarchive.com. That's www.scriptarchive.com. For now, if you were using the same script that I'm using, you'd want to enter into this action field the address of that script on your server. A very common place to store scripts like a form mail script is a folder called CGI bin. Again, depending on how your web server is set up, this folder may be called something else. But many web servers, commercial servers, private servers, name the place that they store scripts like this, CGI-bin. It's the place you store CGI scripts. So the address to this script is cgibin/formmail.pl. And as I said, that .pl means this is a Perl script, much like .css would indicate a CSS file. So the action for your form should be the address to the script if you're using a form like form mail. The name of your form is up to you. You can call your form anything you want as long as you don't use spaces or special characters. The method, again, depends on your script. So whether this method is get or post depends on what kind of script you're using. In the case of the form mail script, the method is post. The target field lets you specify where the reply page will open. So if I choose _blank, then when that reply, thank you for subscribing to my newsletter or thank you for contacting, displays, it'll display in a new web browser or in a new instance of a web browser window. If you leave it blank, it will simply replace the window that your form is in. The ENC type field enables you to specify how the data will be formatted when it's returned. For example, if I'm using this form mail script, I could just use plain text, and in that case, I would simply type text/plain. Again, this depends on the script you're using, so you should check with the instructions specific to your CGI script. Finally, you can apply any CSS styles to your form just like you would apply them to other elements on the page. Many scripts also require something called a hidden field. Form mail is one of those scripts, and the hidden field is where you can enter the email address you want the contents of this form to be sent to. Hidden fields can be used for many other things as well, but for this example, let's use a hidden field to specify the email address. You can add a hidden field anywhere within your form tag, but I prefer to add it to the very top or the very bottom so that if I do need to find it later, it's easier to locate in the HTML code. So for now, let's just place it here at the bottom of the form, but within the form tag. I've inserted my cursor right after the subscribe button. The Hidden Field button is the third one from the left in the insert bar. And when you click Hidden Field, you won't actually see any change in the display area unless you have Hidden Field icons turned on. You see this little A here? That's a little icon that Dreamweaver uses to indicate a hidden field. It will never actually display in a web page, and you can turn this option on and off in Dreamweaver's preferences. If you have it turned on, you can click on the A to select it. If you don't, you might want to turn it on in Preferences in the Hidden Fields category. All hidden fields have a name and a value, and as a general rule, you'll need to be very careful about what name you use because it has to correspond to the script itself. In this case, I want to specify the recipient of the email address, and for the form mail script, that is the word you want to use. Recipient. And the value for that is going to be the email address. In this case, if I wanted to send it to myself at janine@digitalfamily.com, I would type in my address here. If you want, you can enter multiple email addresses here and have the contents of the form sent to more than one address at once. To do that, you'd simply add a comma, space, and another email address. So you'll need to use hidden fields for things like email addresses and recipients when you use the form mail script, and you may need them for other scripts depending on what you're doing. Again, you'll need to check with the programmer or the creator of the script to know how to best set up these features. But I wanted to make sure you understand that when you create an HTML form in Dreamweaver, you're only really doing the first step of developing a form. You'll need a script or a program to actually process the data and deliver a result to the user. To conclude this lesson, let's just save everything we've done so far and preview this one last time in a browser. As you see, we've created a simple HTML form with a drop-down list, checkboxes, radio buttons, and at the very end, a submit button that we've changed to say subscribe. There are so many reasons to create forms for the web, but emailing the contents of a form like this is one of the more common. I hope this little exercise has given you a good introduction to the form tools in Dreamweaver and an understanding that you'll need a script or a program to actually make that form work in your website.